A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I begin, as I always begin, in the name of Allah, whose grace I seek in this and in all other matters. Today I want to talk about al-Dhat al-Qudusiyah. I love this allocation for Allah because it is actually grammatically feminine, and although it is not one of the 99 names, in my tariqah, when we start our muraqabah or meditation, in the dua that we recite beforehand and our intention, our niyyah, we pay attention to al-Dhat al-Qudusiyah. And this means that on a daily basis, when everything is in order, especially with lockdown, I get to pay attention to that. And coincidentally, I'm at the part of one of the transmissions where, in fact, when I pay attention to one of the lata'if, one of the latifas, the areas of the focus, I am also paying attention with love of al-Dhat al-Qudusiyah. And I love that I begin with paying attention and I end with giving attention through love. And I'm somewhat borrowing from Ibn al-Arabi because he is one of the scholars that actually discusses the divine feminine using al-Dhat as the sort of motivation for his conversation about Allah's feminine. And al-Dhat means the essence. And we use it in grammar for non-sacred things. In this particular case, it's al-Dhat. It's with a definite article, the word. So it's the essence. So the essence is the divine essence. And so when I say al-Dhat al-Qudusiyah, it is adding the dimension of sacredness because of the word Quds. Qudusiyah is sacred. So it's sort of the sacred essence of the sacred. So I hope you sort of appreciate kind of once again, tongue-in-cheek, how the vocabulary itself lends itself towards what it is about it that is important and what it is that actually draws me to it. This effort on my part intentionally to rethink, remember a zikr, and to focus this little series on the divine feminine, on this aspect of Allah that is the feminine of Allah. It's important because as I was raised in a loving relationship with God, and God was most definitely male in the way in which my father, the Methodist minister, shared with me and taught me, and also believed and invoked himself. I don't have a, it's not a negative thing with regard to the divine masculine, and that's really important to point out. It's just that I look at the world, and particularly in the context of my own community globally, the community of Muslims, I look at us and I think, well, what is it within our own faith tradition that can assist us in doing better at what it is that one might call the fundamental calling of what is Islam? How can we live as better Muslims, and in that respect, ones who are in surrender to the divine will, therefore better human beings? What can help us in that path? And one of the things that I think is going to be helpful is to stop evoking and depending only on the divine masculine. And for me, the way to do that is to put special attention on the divine feminine and to understand the necessity of the tawheed of the masculine and feminine, that to make the relationship between the two of them work in an integrated, intimate, harmonious, and beatific way. So I particularly, look for opportunities to think about, discuss, and also to feel within my own self, and to, reflect in my deepest spirit on feminine aspects of Allah, so that these become as easily invoked, natural, and consequential as the tendency has been towards the divine masculine. So al-Dhat al-Qudusiyah, the divine essence, is really cool in that respect because, as I said, it is feminine in grammar, and as such it's undeniable even for the naysayers. Of course, for the naysayers, al-Dhat al-Qudusiyah becomes as if it is something apart from, separate, or maybe it's an aspect of consideration and not an integrated reality of the whole. So for me, as I said, the 99 names are cool because they help to invoke this idea about Tawheed as active, from the second form of the verb wahada, to make one, that is to unify. And taking a reality that has 99 names, but never departing from the integrity of the one, capital O, is an exercise in theological transmutation and transformation. It is our putting ourselves into that process of the unification itself as an aspect of our faith journey and of our capacity to live in and through and because of that to which we give our devotion, our love, our worship, etc., Allah. So working on al-Dhat al-Qudusiyah to me allows for the invocation of the divine feminine to take concrete language and therefore form or formula, although God is not a form, Allah is, not a thing in that way. But I think it's even more helpful sometimes than what I'm learning, even for this series that I'm doing for the page on the divine feminine using the 99 names. Because what has happened as I go through the 99 names is that I'm starting to intuitively see masculine and feminine in so many of the names. I'm not sure it's going to work for all of them because I'm literally going through them as I'm motivated. In other words, I go through the list and I say, I feel for this, or something comes up in my salat or my meditation or my, sort of daily survival under COVID, and I think, oh, that reminds me of, al-Ba'ath. And then I go and I look at that attribute and I reflect on it and I share those reflections with you. So that's the process. It's very fluid. It's allowing me to have once or twice a week an opportunity to share with you just some minor reflections on what could be a very deep and spiritually moving realization that Allah is both masculine and feminine, and that Allah's essence is surely feminine and sacred. al-Dhat al-Qudusiyah. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.